Okay, welcome everybody to the May 2026 TDL Forum. My name is Christy Park. I'm the Executive Director of the Texas Digital Library. And we'll start with our usual land acknowledgement as we get started and acknowledge the physical places from which we're joining, all located on the indigenous lands of Turtle Island, or what is now called North America. I'm joining from Austin, where the Tonkawa were among the traditional stewards of the land. So I'll start with going over our agenda. I'll start out with a few notes, and then Courtney will join me in providing updates on some of our services, and then Kiera will wrap us up with some community news and other updates about TDL events. So we are less than 2 weeks away at this point from welcoming many of you to the 2026 Texas Conference on Digital Libraries. And as usual, we are abuzz with final preparations and just the anticipation of seeing so many of you in person. I look forward to it every year. And our planning committees have been working really hard to create a fantastic program of workshops and presentations and networking opportunities and keynote speakers, and also some opportunities to have fun and to find joy in our work and our community. That is our theme this year, finding joy. And so we're going to do it in just a couple weeks. We'll share a link in chat to the program. Kiera is going to share some additional details later on in the forum today, so stay tuned for that. But for now, I get the honor of announcing our recipients of the TCDL 2026 Student Scholarships. So every year, this program awards complimentary registration for TCDL to students currently enrolled in a Texas iSchool or LIS program, and it is funded by a generous anonymous contribution from TDL members. Attending the conference allows these students to network with digital library folks and learn about current technologies and best practices in research and cultural heritage, um, learn about current technologies and just have a really good professional experience early in their careers. So we want to congratulate again our four recipients. They are Daniel Esparza and Sarah Eubanks from the University of North Texas, and Luce Gonzalez and Audrey Waite from UT Austin. We can't wait to meet them, get to know them, and help them have a great conference in a couple weeks. Finally, before we move into the service updates, I wanted to note this change about the web accessibility guidelines that I talked about in last month's forum. You likely have already seen this, that the Department of Justice issued a new interim rule postponing the deadline for implementation of the ADA Title II rule by 1 year to April of next year. And in parallel, the Department of Health and Human Services extended a deadline for implementation of some similar Section 504 guidelines by a year as well to May of 2027. So these extensions provide some additional time to comply with the requirements of the rule. However, the ADA Title II law without those specific technical standards remains in effect. So now is definitely still the time to continue your accessibility efforts, uh, both internally at your institutions and in partnership with TDL. And our repository content accessibility working group is finalizing some recommendations that we'll be issuing and that we'll be presenting on at TCDL. And just as a reminder, all of our TDL accessibility resources are available and can be accessed through our wiki. We'll put a link to that in chat, along with links to those Department of Justice and Health and Human Services extensions. All right, we'll move on into service updates, starting with digital repositories. A reminder that the 2026 DSpace North America Users Group meeting is coming up in September. It's September 28th through 30th. And the call for proposals for that meeting remains open until May 31st. Second, I wanted to highlight a couple of sessions of potential interest to DSpace users that will be part of the TCDL program in a couple weeks. There's a session on approaches to repository accessibility, which I referenced before. That's where the Repository Content Accessibility Working Group will present its work. And Sam Houston State will also be presenting in that session about its approach to accessibility work and the excellent work that they've done in this area. So that's going to be a great session. There's also a lightning talk on Thursday that's not DSpace specific, but will be relevant to our repository managers on institutional repository training for non-IR staff. So that might be of interest. I've definitely flagged that for myself. And then TDL's own Nick Lawland will be leading a Birds of a Feather session called BattleBots for Repositories that will provide opportunities for discussion around handling bot traffic in this new AI world. And then finally, we'll end the conference with what has historically been probably the punchiest of all the user group meetings, because it's always right at the end of the conference when everybody's, feeling a little goofy. That's our DSpace users group meeting where we have lots to discuss about plans for TDL hosted DSpace and what's coming in future versions, repository accessibility, and some other topics. So definitely as you're planning your conference schedule in Sched, keep those sessions in mind. And in journal hosting news, I'm really pleased to share that UT Southwestern Medical has added TDL's OJS hosting service to its membership and is currently helping to launch a new journal called Ethos EM, a journal of emergency medicine scholarship and stories. We're excited to work with that editorial team and with our new journal service liaison, Desmond Ho from UT Southwestern, as part of the OJS users group. And speaking of that users group, its chair, Michelle McCrary, will be leading a Birds of a Feather session at TCDL. That's also the latest installment of our ongoing discussion series on open access in practice. This will be a collaborative conversation on policy development for open access journals, which is an important component for ensuring consistency, transparency, and sustainability in library-supported publishing programs. This is an open session. You don't need to be a member of the users group to join it. You don't need to be an OJS user. We invite you to come and share about or just learn about experiences and challenges related to crafting policies for library publishing. So we'll share a link in chat to that session, and I'm going to hand it over to Courtney to continue our service updates.
Thank you, Christy. Hi, everybody. I'm going to start with TextHub, Digital Public Library of America. The April harvest from TDL's 8 TextHub members is complete, and now we have over 171,000 items in the DPLA. As a reminder, TDL and the Portal to Texas History at UNT are partnered as TextHub, a statewide service that aggregates and normalizes metadata from cultural heritage institutions across Texas and contributes those records to the DPLA. Through this collaboration, Texas institutions are connected to a national discovery platform that now includes more than 53 million records from 44 content and service hubs, representing thousands of libraries, archives, museums, and other collecting organizations across the United States. At TCDL, a DPLA Birds of a Feather session will introduce the TextHub program and the collaborative work behind it, highlighting how TDL and the portal support institutions in sharing their digital collections more broadly. The discussion will cover participation models, technical and metadata considerations, and the benefits of contributing to both the statewide aggregation and the larger DPLA ecosystem. Attendees will have the opportunity to ask questions, share their own experiences with metadata aggregation and digital collection visibility, and explore practical ways to get involved. We'll also discuss how institutions can leverage DPLA's aggregated metadata for local discovery research, digital scholarship, and outreach. Next up, Vireo hosting. The Vireo ETD Spring Sprint is underway. The developers are particularly interested in bugs that Vireo users have been experiencing that impede the student experience and their institutional workflows. I'll share the GitHub Sprint board with all the issues that the developers are working on in the chat. Those of you attending TCDL will hear more about the sprint and other Vireo efforts this year at the Vireo user group Birds of a Feather. The Vireo User Group Steering Committee welcomes Vireo users and those attendees curious about Vireo ETD to a community discussion about the system's current status and its future. Most Vireo users, whether hosted by TDL or not, have moved to Vireo 4. The steering committee is interested in hearing your experience using Vireo 4. Vireo leadership and developers are beginning to consider what Vireo 5 and beyond will have in store. So there will also be ample opportunity to provide input about new features, accessibility improvements, development refinements, and other changes to prioritize in the coming years. And Christopher Starcher, Vireo's product manager, will also lead a session called Enhancing ETD Workflows with TDL's lead Vireo developer, Frank Smutniak, about the future of Vireo. We're currently collecting community and leadership input for the Vireo 5 roadmap, with development on that set to begin as early as this fall. Moving on to digital preservation, lots of activity. Our digital preservation services work has kicked off after the TDL Governing Board approved the strategy recommended by the TDL Digital Preservation Services Evolution Task Force. At this stage, I'm working with many stakeholders to scope our strategy and project plan. I'm also meeting one-on-one with our Digital Preservation Service members to gather their feedback and keep them updated on the details we're working on. The greater TDL membership can expect dedicated information sessions with some of our new partners in the summer, fall, and winter of this year. This year, TCDL includes many opportunities to engage in digital preservation discussions. To start off, on Tuesday, June 2nd, there is a workshop hosted by Digital Power's Stacy Jones on Navigating Uncertainty Together, a digital power workshop for digital preservation practice. Just as a reminder, POWER stands for Preserving Digital Objects with Restricted Resources. And then on Wednesday, June 3rd, as part of the Finding Delight in Digital Preservation session, Melissa Iori from AP Trust will talk about their tech roadmap, which will be a good opportunity to learn more about a tool we're adopting at TDL, the Digital Archivist Research Tool, or DART. In the same session, UNT staff will present on their comprehensive web archiving work. On that same day, Wednesday, there will also be a panel of TDL Digital Preservation Interest Group members who've participated in our peer audit and assessment program called Strengthening Digital Preservation Programs Through Peer Support. And then the Digital Preservation Interest Group meeting will provide opportunities for open discussion on digital preservation topics and will include an opportunity to ask questions from a Stanford LOCKSS representative in attendance. LOCKSS, again, is lots of copies, keep stuff safe. The draft agenda for that meeting is in the regular rolling Digital Preservation Interest Group meeting agenda document shared in the chat. And finally, on Thursday, June 4th, there will be a Web Archiving Texas Interest Group meeting for another opportunity to discuss web archiving strategies with your TDL peers. Now let's talk about Texas Data Repository. TDL is working to manage downtime caused by external pressures on the Texas Data Repository, like some of our other services, as Christy mentioned. This is an imperfect process, which will take some time and refinement. We have implemented some measures to fend off bots while we architect, refine, and test a robust, longer-term solution. If you or any of your researchers have trouble accessing the system, please let us know via the help desk, support@tdl.org, so we can properly assess the application of our solutions. We want to avoid any unintended blocking of liaisons and researchers, so any feedback you can provide about the impact of the tools will help us. The Dataverse Global Community met last week in Barcelona for its annual meeting. TDR Steering Committee Chair Xuan Zhao from Texas State and the University of Houston's Santee Thompson attended representing the Texas Data Repository and shared our efforts around advancing data retention management and Dataverse repositories. UT's liaison Brian G. also presented a poster there on his work to manage large-scale metadata recuration. We look forward to seeing many of our TDR liaisons and colleagues at TCDL, of course. On Thursday, June 4th, the TDR Steering Committee annual meeting provides a dedicated in-person working session for committee members to review progress, conduct business, and define strategic priorities in the coming year. This session allows members to assess user and member activity within the Texas Data Repository, evaluate ongoing initiatives, address any new challenges, and identify opportunities for growth and community engagement. Discussion topics will include operational updates, review of repository metrics, coordination around member needs, planning for upcoming enhancements, and voting on action items. This meeting is intended for TDR Steering Committee members and their institutional colleagues who support TDR operations. Guests may be admitted on an ad hoc basis with approval from the committee, but only official committee members will vote. As a working meeting, this session will focus on discussion, collaboration, and decision-making rather than formal presentations or lectures. Also, on Thursday, you'll have another opportunity to engage in research data discussions in the session called Practical Persistent Identifiers, led by UT Austin staff. In this session, Brian G. and Michael Shensky will share their work on the implementation of Research Activity IDs, or RAIDs, and JJ Bennett will talk about integrating Handle.net into digital asset management for persistent identifiers. And then on Wednesday, the TDR Steering Committee Chair, Xuan Zhao, will talk about the Texas State University Open Datathon during the Building a Culture of Open Data session. And the poster session on Tuesday will include several research data related topics as well. So we're very excited. And then I'll hand it back to Kiera for our community updates.
Thanks, Courtney. So as Courtney mentioned, TCDL is right around the corner, and I want to share some of our highlights from the conference. So on day one, June 2nd, we will kick off with the TDL Awards ceremony and our opening keynote address titled Eliminating Drop Caps, The Magic of the Collaborative Process by Jesse Contour and Kelsey Gray. They're both from the School of Design and Creative Technologies at UT Austin. Also on day one, we will have a fast-paced 30-minute poster pitch session, followed by the reception that will be in the atrium. On day two, June 3rd, we have our panel discussion called A Day in the Life of an Academic Librarian, which will cover daily roles from references to metadata. We'll also have our photographer, Parker Lunsford. He will be on site taking professional headshots in 15-minute intervals. You can sign up online or check for walk-up availability on site. And then running throughout the entire conference from June 2nd to 4th, you can participate in a self-paced venue treasure hunt game. We also be having a book drive, collecting new paperbacks at the check-in table for the Inside Books project to support literacy for incarcerated Texans. And also, the catering menu is now available on the program page, so we'll include the link to the program page again and the Sched link in chat for you all. Next, a reminder that today is the last day to register for TCDL. So 11:59 is the last time you can register tonight. We'll post the registration link in the chat so you can secure your spot before it closes. If you do run into any issues or have any questions about your registration, please email us at info@tdl.org, and we hope to see you all there. Next, we have an exciting community update from the Portal to Texas History at the University of North Texas Libraries. Applications are now open for the 2026 Rescuing Texas History Mini Grant Program. Since 2006, this project has awarded nearly 500 mini grants to Texas libraries, museums, and historical societies. This work has digitized over 87,000 historic items, which have been reviewed or viewed more than 21 million times by researchers worldwide. Your organization can be next. Each grant provides up to $1,000 in scanning, description, and hosting services done directly by UNT libraries. The deadline to apply is August 7th, 2026. We have shared the application link in the Zoom chat, and so you can learn more and apply for the grant. Next, we have a quick roundup of some of our upcoming community events. We're happy to amplify these opportunities, and we'll drop the links to each one in the chat for you all. First is the Geo for Lib Camp 2026, which will take place June 8th through the 12th. It's hosted in person at the University of Texas at Austin. Then we have the Library Publishing Forum, which will meet in person from June 17th to the 18th at the University of Washington in Seattle. This year, the forum is co-locating with the Association of University Presses annual meeting and co-hosting a special summit on June 16th called Responding to Universities in Crisis. For those who cannot travel, they are offering a new Forum Friends program, which will have limited remote engagement. Looking further ahead, registration is open for the virtual Cross Timbers Library Collaborative Conference. The pre-conference is Thursday, July 30th, and the main conference is July 31st, which is held entirely on Zoom. And lastly, registration is also open for the Open Education Conference, which will be held as a fully virtual event from October 27th to the 29th. So again, we'll have all those links in chat so you can learn more about these events. Next, here are some upcoming meetings and events happening at TDL. These meetings and events are free and open to anyone, and you're always welcome to invite your campus partners and non-TDL member colleagues in your network to join us. It looks pretty light because TCDL is right around the corner. We have the GIS Interest Group meeting happening on May 22nd from 2 to 3 p.m. And then, of course, we have TCDL happening from June 2nd to 4th. And then we have the OER Users Group meeting happening on June 10th at 3 p.m. And then for any other meetings that are happening after this month and next month, we'll have those on the TDL events calendar shared in chat. Next, you can check out the latest TDL announcements for upcoming meetings, events, and programs on our social media channels and in our bi-monthly email newsletter and announcement listserv. We'll share the link to our Get Involved page in the chat so you can learn how you can best connect with TDL. It has all of our social media channels as well listed. And next, we do want to help you amplify. We want to help amplify your amazing events happening at your institutions, whether it is in our newsletter or in our blog or social media channels. We do want you to feel free to share your events so that we can share them on those different platforms. And you can use the content idea submission form to get those updates to us. And I think that's it for me for all of our community updates. And I'll hand things back over to Christy. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Kira, and thanks, Courtney, as well for the updates. That was a lot of content we just gave you, and a lot of obviously TCDL focused content in this forum, as is usually the case for the May forum. We're really excited to see everybody. We do have some time left in our half hour. If anybody has any questions, be happy to address those now. You can put them in chat or raise your hand if you want to ask it that way. We also have our anonymous suggestion box, which is a Google form that you can use to submit feedback or questions anonymously, and we can address those in a future forum if we need to. Okay, I'm not seeing any typing in chat for the moment or any hands raised. Oh, I spoke too soon. John says, how are registrations looking for TCDL? So I think we were right at 150, a little high over that. So that's very much in line with previous years' attendance. So we were I will admit we were a little curious about what what things would look like with budget cuts and things like that. But we have a really nice attendance number heading into the last day of registration. Okay. Well, the next time we see most of you, it will be here in Austin. And we're really looking forward to it. Everybody who's traveling, have safe travels and easy travels. We'll see you here. For those of you we won't see in person at TCDL, we will see you again in Zoom and in all of our meetings and opportunities to get together that way. So I hope everybody has a good rest of the week, rest of the month, and we'll see you very soon. Take care.